Hi fellow traders, I hope everybody had a great Friday and you are ready to enjoy this weekend. Hopefully you have some good weather where you are. If you're traveling, be safe. But I just wanted to recap my trades today before I get on the road. And if you were in chat again today, another exciting day. Not that I enjoyed it, but it was exciting for you guys to watch and watch me fumble my way through my trades today. And really, the day started out with me breaking one of my main rules. And that first rule is, if I don't get to go through my procedure, my morning routine, to where I'm set up and I'm comfortable, and I've had my watch list done, I've been able to vet the tickers, kind of follow them, kind of get a feel for what's going on. If I don't get a chance to do that, then I don't take opening trades. I wait for the secondary setups. And I rushed back home after I left the doctor this morning. I rushed home to try to make the open. I got here in time to check out a couple stocks. WDC, I already had the levels pretty much done on it because I traded it in the past. Didn't have to do much work on it. So that was my first watch out of the gate. But I just wasn't locked in. I wasn't ready for the morning. And that's what got me here. I mean, this was an ideal entry, opening range breakdown, perfect entry here. And I ended up getting in too heavy. I got in too many shares and had to stop out before the move even really happened. And when this happened, I was like, this is just not. I broke a rule. I really shouldn't do this. Just wait, relax, take a breath, and let's get back in this. And then this thing starts to sell off. It makes this move. And so, of course, by now I'm very angry with this. But I move on and I find another stock. I find SRPT. Now, granted, this is just $100 loss. I had to stick to my max loss here, and it was a little over $100. So I see SRTP. This was on my watch as well. So I'm looking at this for a continuation. We ran up, we rejected up here, so I waited until we got under the VWAP, and I took it short. And we had a little bit of movement, kind of the same thing that happened in the last trade, but I was prepared for it and had a nice move down. Took some off here at the 20. Took some off here a little bit too early. It kind of got hung up here, and I didn't wait until it got down to 36.70s, and I took some off early, and then we started to bounce, and I was like, well, I need to get out of this because we're going back, and possibly we're going to test this again and maybe give me another shot. But it didn't. It just rejected here, and it pulled back down through the level. The problem with this was I had set my profit stop 20 cents below my entry here. This came nowhere near that. So really, there was no reason for me to take it off. I was just kind of out of sync is the reason why I took this thing off. And you see it rejected here. I should have still been in, holding some of my position and covering as it went through and broke through this 36.70 level. But unfortunately, I was out, but decent profit. you know, I covered the loss that I had, plus I put a little bit more, you know, money in the bank. So let's go back to WDC. I see it right here. We tested the 200 here. So of course I think we're going to reject this, pull back to 86.38, test this level again, and possibly, you know, move on down and test red to green, or green to red, however you want to look at it. Well, I get in, I wait for the confirmation, I wait for this candle to close, I wait for this candle to open, and we're selling. So I get in right on this 87.20 level, which I felt was ideal. We dip down a little bit, and then we immediately start getting bought up. Well, instead of me stopping out, I'm remembering what this thing did to me over here. So I'm not stopping out. I'm only in 300 shares, so I'm smart. This time I didn't go in too heavy. But when this thing started bouncing and driving up, I still didn't stop out. I said, well, I'll let it test VWAP and the 20 here. And if we close above it, then I'll go ahead and take it off. And sure enough, we closed above it. This was about a $400 loss. So altogether on this WDC, I was down $536.92. All because I started trading too early. Had I not traded and taken this trade, I would have stopped out on this. I might have taken this trade still because I like the setup, but at least I would have stopped out. I wouldn't have let this thing run up and blow me up the way it did. So after all of this, I was down about a little over $300. I think I was down $330 at that point. And I was still watching SRTP. I still felt this had a pretty decent move in it, and I liked the way this traded, and I felt that if we tested this and started to roll over again, that would be another good short. So once it tested this, I was getting ready to go to lunch, and I was taking my tablet with me because, you know, I always do that just in case I get an entry at lunch and it gets to where I want it to be. Well, this kind of set up for me. So before I could even get out the door, I took the position, and I liked it so much, you know, I took it heavy. I took 1,000 shares versus the 500 that I took over here, because this was how good I felt about this rolling over. And so we got in it, and I got my first cover right here at 38.50s. You know, that was going to be my first target. I didn't want to hold it and try to get 36. You know, I was in, you know, pretty big because I wanted to take 500 shares, you know, relatively quickly. I wanted to book, you know, a couple $100 pretty quick because I was already down 300. So I took that cover. I waited. I took this cover. This was almost perfect because this is where we bounced. So I took this because I was watching how it was kind of hanging up around this 36.30s level. We got a wash down into the 20s. I think I got it. I think I got this at 36.20. Yeah, 36.20. So that was good. So I waited. I left the last piece on, let it test, and finally got the flush through this level. Now it actually made a better move, and I was actually able to get it right here above the 200, because this was my ultimate target was the 200. But I got kind of scary that this thing might not get there, and you know, it did. It dipped down a little bit, but then it got bought back up, got rejected by this again, and this was a good place to get back in, you know. But I feel that I had maximized my potential, that I got in the meat of the move, and I would be good. But this did go up, reject here. This would have been a decent scalp down to this 35, 32 level. But then once it did that, it recovered and just kind of bounced around in this channel. But this is the type trading that I like to do and that I like to teach. I like finding one stock and maximizing the potential of that one stock. Now that's what I wanted to do with WDC, but again, I jumped in too early. I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't in my groove. When I got into this trade, I was comfortable. I got into my groove and nailed it, and then I came back and nailed this trade here again. So that was my day. It was interesting and exciting, but I don't want to do these too much anymore. Now I don't want to do that. So I will do a recap video for the month this weekend, so look forward to that. But I wanted to do this while this trade was still fresh in my head, and before we hit the road. So that was my day. Thankfully we got out of it green, and I just don't want to put myself through this anymore. I don't want to put myself through this anymore. So you guys, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy it, and I'm gonna get back at this trading Monday morning. See if we can do something here, and try to be more consistent, and kind of get my head back screwed on straight. Because these are the moves that I'm looking for now. Whether it be to the long side or the short side, this type of trading is what I feast on. And so I'm going to be kind of sniping that. And then we'll talk more about this in the class on Saturday. Those of you that's in the class, we're going to talk more about this and the entries and exits and all of that good stuff. So again, have a great weekend, and we will see you bright and early Monday morning.